get this off the table.
You mind if I share? I'm gonna stick it on the back. Yeah, I didn't know she sent me all the papers. Her house was pink and green.
She's everywhere.
What time is meeting now for? I got another meeting at 11:30 and I gotta be back in Batesville at 2.
Oh, you gonna miss the CAA signature.
Oh, I'm on that list because I got federal regulation meeting at 2 o'clock in Batesville.
Oh, yeah, I know you gonna be at that.
Yeah, so I gotta leave here by at least 12 to get back there. Or at least 12:15. Okay.
We'll see how swiftly we can push things along.
Okay.
Watch it leave.
Yeah, I heard that. You see that?
Is it hot in here?
It's a little, it's a little.
It's warm.
It's what?
Warm.
Warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gimpy, very gimpy. We waiting on Zoom.
I think the last time I was here is when they did the remodel. And we did the people got to do a walk.
Get away from that reverb. Get that mic away from that
Got my
speaker.
board in the other day, so
Who was that, Bob?
oh yeah, mixing for soundboard, I got it in the other day, he does all that too, plus I got the board.
Speak again. Get that reverb out of that.
Yeah, slow.
Yeah.
Then you speak again, make sure they get that reverb out of that. You was on the phone? Okay.
One of them things in church.
Yeah.
And I got another meeting at 11:30.
Yes, Bob, yes.
Can you hear us okay? Mr. Bobkin?
Is he on mute?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Hey. The monthly meeting of the Little Rock Housing Authority doing business as Metropolitan Housing Alliance is called to order. Will you please call roll, Ms. McKinney?
Sure thing. Commissioner Love,
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Here.
Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Anthony,
Here.
Commissioner Peterson.
Present.
You have,
I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself.
Yes, sir.
I got two cards, which one me personally, I like to take ladies first. So, have Ms. Stacy Brown from Sunset.
yes, I would like to know,
Which,
I would like to know where the, good morning, President.
good morning.
Good morning.
My first question, actually, I have two. My first question is, I would like to know where the renovations stand for Sunset, what's going on with that. And my second question is about the excess utility. Why is it that 1 month it's high and 1 month it's low? What doesn't just, it constantly stay, the same? Two-part question. Over at Sunset.
Well, with RAD, we can't really do anything until the financing is in place. We can make all the plans in the world, but if we don't have the money to construct it, it's not going anywhere. And just from my personal perspective, that is what should have been told you all. Nothing can be done until the financing is in place.
When was the last time, Mr. Chairman, that Sunset had a resident meeting?
That I don't know.
We haven't.
Last time we had a resident meeting was,
With Gorman.
the last meeting with Gorman was right before the pandemic
So
started.
that's over a year ago.
We had a meeting scheduled, but it was canceled due to the pandemic. So what they did is they called everybody by phone call. They did not have a person-to-person meeting, but they called every individual one by one per phone call. I think that was about maybe 6 months, 7 months ago. But they haven't followed up on that since then.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we take that matter up with Gorman.
So noted, but with utilities fluctuate, okay? But there shouldn't be such an extreme, that's going hypothetically, say from $1 to $100.
Might we let Mr. Lee, we've been having some issues with some meters that we've been getting updates on, so go ahead, Ms.
How do they calculate that though every month? Or,
Per usage watts,
supposed
how
to be
many,
done
how
by
many
weekly
kilowatts
meters.
that you use from one month to the next. And there are other utility fees involved, such as the city's franchise fees and all other.
When you say there has been an increase, what is the amount of the increase? Is it $5? Is it $10? Is
like,
it
let me
20?
use my own, for example, like 1 month it's $34, and then the next month it's like $119, in which, you know,
That's a
it's
big
change.
jump.
That's too extreme.
It's a meter.
Yeah.
Somebody, that's.
I mean, that's my personal
Yeah,
access
yeah,
here.
yeah.
'Cause 1 month is 34, and then the previous month it went up to 119, and I'm doing nothing different. I'm doing the same thing I did, you know, just, you know, washing or whatever.
We have had some
What's this?
complaints, in the past and currently about utility.
He said he can't hear.
About, hey, Bobby.
He say he can't hear.
But yeah,
No, I can't. No, I can't.
He can't hear.
we're working.
Okay. We've had 10 meters that were questionable. Some of the charges have jumped astronomically.
That's
So what we
triple.
did, Dr. Jarman had me get those 10 meters tested, and we're waiting on Armstrong Electric to get back with us with their findings. As soon as Armstrong Electric gets back with me, I'll report to Dr. Jarman and the junior executive director, and we'll see about getting the problem fixed that has been reported to us. Now, what was suggested by both electric companies that came in is that we're going to continue to have these problems as long as we have these old meters. They say the equipment has been outdated, and what they say, the only thing that would change this is to change the meter banks and go to smart meters. Okay, because we're in red, it's gonna be a substantial fee, and we're trying to figure out the cheapest route to go until the red starts. But I'll get back with Dr. Jarman as soon as the specs get back with me.
I got a quick question on that. Are the meters being read? Because
Yes.
it sounds like it's been a guesstimation, because I know a lot of times people have, have actually request cards to read their own meters. And I know those are old meters, so they old school, you have to have somebody read them. And a lot of times, these meter readers,
Well, my
They don't
fear
Read them
is-
from the street.
they read them from the street with binoculars, because they're not going all the way every meter.
Right.
My fear is these are such the old meters that it's easy for them to be tampered with. Some people will pull meters off of vacant apartments, put them on their apartments. So I'm gonna get with my maintenance man to see if we can take all the down unit meters off. It'll probably save us some money
Yeah.
in the future, and it'll probably save meters from coming up missing. But that's the major issue is that they say the equipment is just old. And like Chairman Lowe said, the charges do fluctuate throughout the year, depending on if you're using heaters or washers, and this is an old structure, so they may not be insulated as much as a new structure is. They may have something to do with it, but in the last year, these charges have kind of jumped astronomical.
And Chairman, what we're doing is we're doing our due diligence and looking at the meters, and what we're trying not to do is incur a lot of costs, knowing that we're getting ready to go under RAD. That would be like not exactly the smartest thing to do. But we are dealing with individuals who had the jumps in their utility bills, and we're going to work out some type of reimbursement once we determine if the meter was flawed. So there was I think we had about 6 that had a really pretty big jump that looked like it was not quite right. It probably was a meter.
Who is the billing agent for the electrical use? Is it Energy?
Yes.
Has the issue been reported to Energy?
Yes, it's been reported to Energy, but because we own all of our meters, it's a private, matter. We have to call the electric company.
But they have been sending out letters to, because I'm one of those people, I have an old meter, my house was built in 75, and they are replacing my meter because it is doing craziness, and I'm having to pay for it, you know, and I know the situation can be different, but if you tell them, look, it's causing an issue, they might actually send someone out to look at it to see.
We actually did that in 2019, and that's when they let us know that it's nothing they can do because it's a private issue.
Wow.
Their meter is across from the property, and all of our meters are being fed by that one meter.
So it might be multiple
because
things.
that meter is theirs, that's the only one that they say they are responsible for. We've had them, tried to get them to come out to the property on several occasions, and they actually tried to do it before I started my position, and they just let us know they will not touch our property because it's privately owned.
But they are keeping records of the fluctuation of the
Yeah.
billing cycle,
Yes, ma'am.
And no one is in danger
of
of
having
getting
it turned off.
disconnected or anything?
No.
Okay. Have we, or is there a possibility of us talking with the Public Service Commission about,
It's not gonna be our problem.
say it again?
It's gonna be our problem if it's in the meter.
Well,
Because it's privately
it's,
owned.
it's our problem, but it's a major problem to the community that lives there. But I still think that it may be an avenue that we can just look at. And I'll get with you and maybe we can set something up and discuss this issue about Sunset. And so how many residents are we talking about? Okay.
The ones that was reported.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I would-
We'll do
I'll-
that. We'll set up a meeting with you after. this
Public
meeting.
sector, okay.
Do an-
Now with the pandemic stuff, you know, whatever about whatever, chance, God's law, whatever, people got nothing to do. Yeah, I've been whining, but to me, if something is not right, then it's just wrong, and you supposed to question it. But the people, we had a congregation of people here that was coming and it was growing. I got notes and stuff and I take them frequently. 42 and more people sometimes would attend these meetings. With that 42, regardless if they want to hit on the side, outside on the benches, the mass of them got that and took it outside. The pandemic has stressed us all. I'm one of them. I'm not above reproach, you know, temperamental. I'm known that I don't need this to get my point across, and it's been kind of stressful. Like I said, I wasn't gonna stay long, but the last time I'm always doing is I sometimes tend to put my foot in my mouth, but sometimes things are not explained the way they're supposed to. And I'm gonna question that too. So I thank you, Commissioner, for letting me think about this before I come up here, but I appreciate my board. I'd like for everyone here to be here to see how really y'all run y'all business downtown. But we're gonna get it together, and I think we had it together before the pandemic struck. We're doing quite well. Had we matured up until now, we're going to be a force to reckon with, whether the MHA or woman likes it or not. Power belongs to the people, and we got enough people here that if we don't like what's going on, we can change it. As simple as that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
can we acknowledge the presence of the members of the resident councils by having them stand, please, so that we can recognize them, please?
One
So
question.
noted.
Okay. One question.
I mean, one thing I'd like to, I called, Williams. He had a doctor's appointment. Janet Crafton asked if she was necessary for her to be here. The only representative that we have in that Chaplain London Key. But he's very vulnerable and he's active
You
in
have
whatever
other
we do,
resident
going
councils.
downtown or attending my meeting.
You have other resident
But he and myself, we had
So
all five of us
those two
were
there,
as diligent
excuse me,
as he and I.
Sunset.
we
I haven't
gonna
seen
be
any
able to be
from
reckoned with.
Power Towers.
Make no mistake about it.
Well, those who are on the resident councils, resident council representatives, please stand.
And we got Sunset. who else?
Sunset and Collins,
Parish Tower.
Paris Tower.
Paris. I do, I'm coming.
Knowing that the work that y'all do, we appreciate the cooperation and collaboration, because we can't do it by ourselves, and if you don't let us know, then it'll never get done, so we appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. As you know, again, I'm the chaplain here. I want to address a situation that we've been having for a long time before the pandemic hit. We was talking about MHA, Gorman, and us here. We was talking about putting police around in this area, because we need it bad, because we have a building full of people here, and you got, this building here is mostly people that comes here that has hit rock bottom and been to penitentiary and things like that. Now, I'm not condemning anyone that has been to penitentiary, but what I'm saying, a lot of them have that penitentiary mentality, and we've got some issues that really needs to be addressed here. And I know it's about making money, but sometimes you have to sacrifice a little money for the sake of the people here. Because what's going on is we got people coming from off the streets, riding down through here like this is a pit stop, and we need some police here 24/7 was what we need here. And I don't know how you all want to address it, but we really need to address that. That's a serious situation that we got going on, and it's getting larger and larger, and it's nothing, I'm bringing it out now. And I'm not trying to point no fingers here and there, because that draws more problems. What we need is just to start from where we at and get some police out here and get this thing straightened out. And the more they see the police officers here, the less they'll stop popping up, and who's ever doing anything around here, they'll stop doing what they're doing. But until that happens, you can get all the security guards you want, you can get regular people, that's not going to do it. They need to see some badges, because they don't respect the badges. So at least if they're on site, we can kind of put an end to some of this mess.
Well, first of all, these 5 folks who sit here, who do not get paid, are not concerned about the money, about the welfare of this community. We don't make a dime, okay?
Well, I wasn't saying that, sir.
I know what you're saying, but I want the public to know.
Sure.
These 5 folks here, we don't get paid a dime, okay?
Sure.
We do this because we heart this, okay?
Sure.
And we're concerned about the folks here in Little Rock.
Sure.
To your second point, there was a plan in place
Right.
to work with the Little Rock Police Department
Right.
to have this place patrolled.
Right.
I don't know what has happened with that.
Thank you.
Well, Corona, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Control the streets. People make excuses for that, okay?
Okay.
But I don't know what happened to that plan. Commissioner Jackson, maybe you and Dr. Jarman can revisit that with Captain Haskin, with the Little Rock Police Department, but there was a plan in place. This building was regularly patrolled.
Sure.
Don't know what happened to it, but we can find out.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Yes, sir.
Like on that, Chairman, I've worked with Mr. King on this issue before.
Have you
I
called
contacted-
Captain- have you
I
called
contacted
Captain Hanson?
Lieutenant Dyer, and he addressed to me that it's sort of like a
I should say
back burner issue right now, because they trying to get everywhere.
Safety.
And what I suggest that in this area here, just like Sunset, just like Cumberland, just like Powell, you have several agencies around that we can locate as well as just the Little Rock Police Department. Here at Paris Towers, you have Little Rock Police, and just 2 blocks over, you have a 25-man state police headquarters on the governor's mansion. They patrol everything within 5 miles from there. So my idea is to try to reach out to some more agencies, Sheriff Department, State Police as well. So
Let me give you the politics of that. The state police is gonna push it off on Little Rock. So that's why I say talk to Chief Haskin. She has worked with us in the past and will continue to work with us. So should be the point of focus. Talk to Chief Haskin.
well, I've talked to her, and like I said, it's right now, it's like a back burner. You know what's going on in the city at the moment now with all the shootings.
But
It's like you know.
Have we approached them with anything on paper?
That's the, yeah. Do we have any specific data about incidents that have occurred?
Yeah, we do need to get a picture.
Let's,
That's what I
let's
said,
put
go
that-
back and look
yeah.
at that plan
Let's-
that was in place before and revisit it with Chief Haskins.
Yeah.
With that plan that you're talking about there with Chief Haskins was also put in place with Laura from Gorman
That's what
as
it
well.
is.
Okay, that's.
And like you said, I don't know what happened with it. They were supposed to, the plan that you were talking about was the one where police were supposed to unvisually come in, walk the buildings with dogs, trying to control the drug problems, and they were supposed to go around to all of the towers, not just this one.
Right.
So, like you said, I don't know what happened with
I mean, people like to use COVID as an excuse,
it.
but this is no excuse.
Yeah.
Anything further?
Can I say this one thing?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis is right. The infestation is just that bad. We done went from having the fire department come here to having the police come here frequently, and it don't mean a darn thing, because if the dogs are not walking, you don't see a badge of force. These young people out here don't give a care about nothing. They're disrespectful. They're gonna wear their pants down the end. Normally you wear your pants like I want to. But this is gonna run out of control, and it's heading that way if it's not there now. I'm just telling you, we were talking about this, likely that a death has occurred. I don't wanna be on CNN, but what Lewis Jackson is talking about, it's about to happen. Make no mistake about it. I mean, you
Well-
call the state, they gonna shift it to somebody else, they gonna shift it to something, nobody wants to take a part in it until the stuff hits the fan.
Well, Mr. Dukes, too, we have something ready, because we can sit up here and talk about it all day long. But do we have something concrete on paper, communicating with those folks who make the decision? That's where we need to head to.
They're saying that
Yes,
we
sir.
have a drug infestation, that they take all the money, people are giving them their money before they pay rent.
We've heard that
You
argument.
gotta put
We
that
heard-
on
we heard-
paper, too?
We heard that argument before.
Mr. Dukes, the whole purpose of the resident council is that it is an organized governing body within the building.
Right.
If you are not documenting dates, time, who's involved, and keeping a record of those things, it's almost like it didn't happen, okay? It is just a whine. You are just a voice in the wilderness. Individuals, and this is what we hopefully are be able to bring to the councils, is some additional training that shows you not only how to take your complaint to the authority, but how to keep a record and document what's taking place. So even if you call in the police with management in the room, you've got documentation. How many times have the police been called? How many times has the fire department been out here? It is a consistent record that will get attention, but it has to be an organized effort on the part of the resident council. And what we're asking, and we're going to provide that training to you, so that you know how to get your needs met. It's one thing to have a complaint and just go in and raise your voice from time to time. It's another situation to get a solution and a resolve to the problem, okay? When did you talk to management? Who did you talk to? How many times have you talked to management about the same problem? All those things are good documentation to get things resolved, okay? So we're gonna get that training for you. And we've been a little bit slow, but we're gonna get better at what we do, Mr. Dukes. But it's, I don't know what happened. But it is a matter of documentation. It is a matter of keeping record. And how that's done, we will provide that help for you.
And to piggyback on that, we've already started, I've talked with Mr. Dukes. I'm going to go to all the sites and hold meetings with just the council meetings, just to get the insight on things.
You got to take notes.
And so what we're doing is starting next Tuesday, Mr. Dukes and I and Ms. Brown from Sunset are gonna meet here. He'll give me a time Monday. And we go from there, do it at Cumberland Cumberland would do theirs, Wednesday, which would be our regular meeting day. Then I go to Power Towers, so. And then too, another thing is, when you said about only the police have been showing up,
Yeah.
my understanding now that the residents are the only ones that call the police, for police and ambulance. I mean, it's not
We've
a
had
normal
less
truck.
ambulance and fire trucks and
Right.
more.
Well, see, the fire truck's automatically supposed to come, because of
Those
fire.
are EMTs.
Yeah, the EMTs, like, you have to call
Incident,
them. You have to call them. You have to call the police. So, just like she said, if you make a report, or you take down notes of what's going on, when you call the police, give them that. And the more, it's bad to say it, but the more that you do that, they're gonna move. They're gonna come. They're gonna do
Yeah,
something.
but you still have to have a plan of action.
Yeah, your rules and regulations, what is your structure?
Yeah.
You don't have a structure in
You
place.
gotta have your plan of
So you
action.
have to have one.
Yeah, right.
All right, Dr. Drummond?
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
I do want to also add that I'm listening, and the staff at MHA, we will start looking for some grant opportunities to focus strictly on police over and above baseline protection. They do have grant funds for that. We'll try to identify some, and that would help. Everybody knows the money really is dedicated above the baseline service. So I will make a note and look into the grant opportunities for that and see what we can do to help with that. Okay, Chairman, as far as my updates, you received your board packets. I only have a few items that I want to emphasize. In terms of the HCV department, I do want to emphasize that Director Johnson has really been involved with the PCC. I know that was one thing when I first came, that you had mentioned that we had fell a little behind on our involvement. She has been attending the meetings that's in the report, and she has been giving me a report back on the activities of the PCC, and so we're up and running, and we're very involved with that now.
How many people are still on FSS?
200, no, we were trying to get the number up to 42. That's our allocated amount. When we last checked, it was 20, and then we had 6 more that had expressed on our outreach efforts. So about 26.
We'll have more than that. The newly appointed staff person is going to training on Monday. So after her training, we'll get started reaching out to our existing participants to see who's interested in the program.
I mean, is there a reluctance to participate in FSS, or they just don't understand what it is?
I don't think there's a reluctance. I don't think they understand. And some people just don't want to be involved. So we have to get the word out. We got to push more, do a little bit more outreach, and then we'll get a little bit more participation.
Do they
So we
understand?
have to be active too. We can't just have a
Right,
dormant
exactly.
program.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do they understand the benefits of FSS?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's great, excellent benefits, but as she said, we can put it out there,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully, people will understand there is some work involved.
Right?
And so, we're encouraging people to, we put out flyers, we put statements out with their HCV statements and invoices and landlords. We're just covering everything to try to get the number up to what we've been allocated, which is 40.
When will the foster care vouchers begin? I know a lot of it has that to do with DHS, but
Yeah.
the ballpark date.
Well,
It already started, didn't it go?
yeah, we had a meeting, FYI meeting with the different agencies, and the necessary MOUs have been signed. All we, MHA has to do is wait for the referrals. But one of the major issues with that is finding someone who's suitable for the program. So because these are young teens, we have to make sure that they are suitable to be in an apartment complex on their own, things of that nature. So DHS is actively seeking individuals to participate in
So
the
they're
program.
actually doing the vetting.
I'm sorry?
They're actually doing the vetting.
Correct. And once MHA receives the referrals, we'll submit it to HUD. But until then, there's nothing we can do. We're just,
But
MHA is just waiting.
we're up and running now?
Yes.
Okay.
We're just waiting.
Okay.
DHS makes, when you use the term suitable, DHS
Screen.
is the one declared, provides the,
Just like the fast route.
Right.
The VA does the
Okay.
screening and
I got you.
submit the paperwork.
the FSS training, what does that consist of and where is it?
It is a web-based training through Nan McKay. It is a 3-day certified training. She has to take a test after the training. And it just goes over the policies and procedures of the program so that we can stay, MHA can be in compliance with HUD.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Director Johnson, as part of the education process of those individuals who are not interested in FSS, is there any understanding of the changes that are coming about within HUD where Section 8 and vouchers are not a promised condition?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that question.
The whole situation with vouchers is that it is a temporary program for folks to get a leg up. That it is not, I think the only people who are protected on that program are the disabled, and I think there may be 1 or 2 other groups, but that this whole program is about empowering people to move to the next stage. Is that a part, and that it can change at any time where that person who has been on voucher for the longest is maybe the person who is asked off the voucher? Because we were almost faced with this, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Where we were looking at the possibility of having to cut vouchers, and the process was going to be those persons who were on vouchers the longest, with minus disability and those other protected classes, would have been those individuals who would have lost their vouchers. And that's a reality, because HUD is changing. So I'm just asking, is the educational process a part of that HUD is changing?
In terms of the FSS program, I think we need to be a lot more active in communicating with our participants. I think that's the major problem. If they don't understand the program, what the benefits are, then they're kind of reluctant to participate. On the PCC committee, we are required to have resident members, and we have identified one who is currently in nursing school. So we want to use her.
Problems that exist with homelessness with the youth, we know it exists. Here's an opportunity for you to address that.
Director Johnson, there's a report that is just fresh off the press that was done by the Clinton School of Public Policy along with the Central Arkansas Library System that talks about awareness, the issues of poverty, homelessness, and hunger. And most of the work of housing is right in that pocket. And it gives the numbers for Pulaski County. Our numbers are going up. And one of the statements that was made in the report, and I'll make sure you get a copy of it, is that no one gets out of that situation without help from the outside. So it's something that we need to make sure that they're getting the help they need through the FSS program, or through anything else that we have knowledge, so they're empowered to take the next steps. But there is a major program that hits us as far as homelessness and housing and all those things, and the population that we deal with. So, Dr. Chalmers, we'll send it to you, and then you can distribute it among your staff as you see fit.
I will, thank you. The only other key point with section, HCV is the wait list. I think you've heard several times that we purged it, and now we're getting ready to reopen it. We are in the process now of working with the design group as well as the company that's going to actually do the mechanics of the website and the MRI, the wait list management. So we do have a statement of work out. So hopefully we'll open up the wait list in the next couple of weeks, maybe. We're hoping.
Well, one point with that, and I think the board has made this as a concern, that it not be only online. That if somebody walks through those doors and the waiting list is open, that we should be able to take their application.
We're still the housing authority.
Yeah. So that's a major concern that we had had. Okay.
Okay. Oh, did you want to?
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, sir, but in an instance like that, what we're trying to do is to prevent chaos.
I understand.
In the past, when you open up the waiting list, even if you say, you know, we're taking applications online, but the minute you say we're handing out applications, people tend to think that's the quickest way to get a voucher. And they'll bypass doing it online to come down to the agency to actually pick up a voucher. So we want to stress applying online. And another reason we wanted to change the method to the method for selection to lottery is to give everybody an equal chance on the waiting list. In our current method with the date and time stamp, I just feel as though those people who are working won't have a chance to go online and fill out the application, and therefore those who aren't working or do have access to it, it gets a better chance. You know, I have to wait till I get off work till I can apply, so my date and time stamp may be, you know, later in the day. Whereas if you open it up for a period of time, and I'm looking at maybe about 3 days, open it up, just let whoever needs to apply, and then once we close the waiting list, then we will do a random selection, supply a random number to each applicant, and therefore everyone have an equal opportunity.
Yeah, I don't have no problem with that, but the concern that we had, and my concern is that everybody doesn't have access to the internet.
Computer.
And then this is why, when I stated at the last board meeting, I did some outreach to our community partners to see if they can assist us in, if they have any web-based classes or computer rooms or something like that, that they can assist us in taking the applications. I don't deny that we may need to assist the elderly and homeless population with applications, and we are making provisions for that. But the primary method for applying will be online.
Yeah, but that still brings some concerns
Yes,
about
sir.
folks who don't have that access. And you know, we don't want to miss any opportunity, deny any opportunity for people to apply. And that's the concern that we have.
That's my concern as well, sir. I want to make sure that we don't violate any fair housing laws. So we are looking at all aspects of making sure everyone, elderly, disabled, all populations have equal access to applying for the Section 8 voucher. Even if we have to say, you know, a couple days are set aside only for our elderly and disabled population, and address those needs, and then open it up. Again, because we're doing the lottery, it gives everyone equal opportunity. So it does not matter whether you apply Monday or whether you apply it on Friday. You get an equal chance of placement on the waiting list. So we're looking at all aspects. We're not going to violate any fair housing laws.
No, I know you're not, but it's just a matter of, you know,
You're
being
talking about
fair
just
to everybody.
access. See, some people
Yeah.
just don't have access to a
Right.
computer or don't necessarily even know
Right.
how to log in and the basic steps. And we're working with some community partners to address that, whereas if we have to set up meetings or come to their homes, we do have at least 2 or 3 community partners. One of them is actually in our board packet under the CARES Act that we're trying to interact with to make sure, Chairman, that we address exactly what your concern is. People that don't know how, they're not computer literate or they don't have access. And we're trying to make sure that we address that.
There are agencies in our community whose job is to service the populations that we're normally missing. And they see those people on a daily basis. And they also are good at helping us vet those individuals who are ready to take those next steps into housing. So we may need to strengthen our list with those folks who are dealing with the homeless and dealing with people who are disabled to make sure that they are aware that we're opening the list.
The feedback on that, certain agencies right at this moment, the Woody Hinton Resource Center on 12th Street, along with workforces, university, they are doing it now where they have opened up to showing, like educating people how to log on, find out, you know, applications, how to put applications in. Especially among the elderly, because some people use their phones, but the elderly people are still on flip phones.
Watch your mouth.
But, I understand what you're saying, and it's a lot of agencies out there now that still provide
You said,
services.
what was the first one you said? Will Hinton? Was it
Willie
Hinton.
Willie,
I don't
okay.
know if it's,
Resource Center.
have they
Okay.
opened it up yet?
Yeah, I talked to a gentleman the other day, he came in and put some flowers up, I have some flowers at the house, I put outside, he was telling me about it. He's, actually from, workforces, and, he was showing me all the, they holding classes too as well, CDI classes, all kind of classes now for, job placement and everything. So those are two resources right there off the bat that I can think of.
You can also look at Goodwill. Goodwill's have career
Yeah,
centers with
Goodwill.
computers.
CABC.
And if they have career specialists
yeah.
there and they can help them, they all are computer savvy, it's a regular application. They would be able to assist them with trying to do it, and most of them have more than 10. So, if you set up a day that you say, hey, can we use your lab to help people apply for housing, you just need to call the center and set it up.
I did reach out to some of those agencies, and one of the issues due to COVID was that some of the computer labs are closed.
Yeah.
But again, I have been reaching out to those type of agencies so that we can partner together in an effort to get as many people as we can for the way.
Yeah, and Workforce has a truck with
Yeah.
computers on it, and you can, a mobile truck, so it can go everywhere. And they
I
can
think
let
they
a
just
certain
reopened
amount of
it.
people in at a time and work that way.
Yeah, they just reopened it, matter of fact, I think, back in the last couple of weeks.
Okay. And Director Johnson, correct me, the actual application, when you get in queue for the wait list, is streamlined, isn't it just a very basic information
Right. Basic
initially?
information, just enough to give you a preference and get the vital information. And once we call your name off the waiting list, we'll glean more information from it.
Okay, so it's not just overly complicated.
And also, can you do it on your phone?
Yes.
Because some people have a
Yes.
phone, and
Government phone.
okay.
That's what I was saying, yeah, a lot of people
Yeah.
do it on their phone, but the majority
Yeah.
of elderly people, that, still got, they don't, they don't operate smartphones.
I'll handle that later.
We have been working at Sunset with the homeless shelters that refer people to us. They've been trying to, like she said, they closed down a lot of the labs, but the problem that they said that they were having when the labs were open, they just didn't have enough computers. They've reached out to me on several occasions to see if it was something that we could be donating, but we have to keep all of our stuff for so many years before we can get rid of it. So what I will do is I will reach out to Jada, and we will talk about, see if we have anything that we can assist the homeless shelters with. Because they do a lot when the homeless come in and they check in, they'll
Are
give
we
them all
talking
their
about,
particulars.
are we talking about computers?
Yes.
Then you need to reach out to Kendrick, that's who you need to reach out
Oh,
to.
yeah, there
That's
you
you,
go,
right?
that's right.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
We'll be
yeah.
reaching out to you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's great, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, but just, to let you know, we're trying to be all encompassing. You never can get 100%, but I think we've made enough efforts to increase that number tremendously toward our outreach and making sure everybody gets that fair shot at the vouchers. For the finance department, Commissioner Lindsay met separately with Director Delaney. He had a couple of concerns that he addressed during our meeting that we immediately turned around the next day and provided him with the information that he needed, particularly the emphasis on the findings from previous years and the IRS payment. He wanted to know the status of that, and so Director Delaney has been working with him. Chairman Lowe, after reading the board packet, called me, and he had a couple of items that he wanted me to refer to Director Delaney, and that had to do with the cash line item for the COCC being in the negative, and he said that we need to revisit the balance sheet in general. But all in all, the finances are in your board packet. I do appreciate, Chairman, your call before the board meeting to let me know your concerns. And now I would just open that up for any questions in terms of the finance or.
Yeah, okay. This is Director Delaney's first report, and I think we all looked through it pretty good, and there are some discrepancies or some issues that I think that we need to work through. I noticed in our summary, there were some bank accounts that I had not seen in the past that was there. You know, and I'm sure that what it looks like, and I need to talk to Director Delaney about this, we all need to talk some more about, you know, how they were not reported in the past, but you found those. I think that's the issues about the liabilities and assets and those being in the negative and that sort of thing. So I used to use the term a work in progress. This is definitely a work in progress, that we've got some bumps and bruises that we need to go through. I have a question concerning CHAC, but we're gonna talk about that in our follow-up.
Yeah, and I
So
thank
that's-
you.
Okay?
And thank you for the separate meeting that you had to let us know what some of your concerns
Yeah.
were, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, the thing is that a balance sheet should be what it says.
Balance, yeah.
Both sides balance.
Yeah.
Assets should equal liabilities plus equity in hand. And not taking anything away from Director Delaney. I know he's gonna drill down,
Yeah.
but that gives us pause for concern.
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
several months ago, in fact, last year, this board talked about forensic accounting. What I think we're into now is actually getting that, because the board has always had concerns that we were not getting all of what the board had requested in information. So it looks like we're beginning to get that information that we had previously requested. I think that as we work through this process, and again, Commissioner Lindsay, it is a work in progress, and I think we are going to have some concerns. Some of them are going to be good concerns, and some of them are going to be eyebrow-raising concerns as we work through this. But we are now getting what we asked for, is the knowledge of what it's,
To look
the
at,
whole
yeah.
total
And
picture
I
looks
think the
like.
whole board appreciates that.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Does Mr. Delaney have anything to say? Director Delaney?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. The reason the assets and the liabilities don't match is because 2019 isn't closed yet, so you got to take into account the revenues and expenses in there, and it will match if you add them or subtract them in, depending on which way it goes, if it's positive or negative. So that's the reason why, but it takes into account the revenues and expenses for 2019. Once we close 2019, the assets and the liabilities will match.
Good answer. All right, thank you.
So the key is 2019, and getting that closed, and I think you'll see a domino effect that will kind of like right size or correct the future financials moving forward, but, you know, we've been struggling with 2019, but we're there, we're almost there. I'm not gonna say we're there, I think you heard that before, but
Yes, I bet.
we will be, we are getting there, so.
Yeah, thank you for the CARES Act report.
Yes, yeah.
That is truly appreciated.
Thank you, you're welcome. You asked Mr. Delaney, Director Delaney to be forthcoming with everything. We are, again, we're full disclosure. We're, maybe, like Commissioner Anthony said, some of the information you may not have gotten in the past, but you will get it moving forward. And that is our pledge to you, is that we will make sure that any financial information that you request, you get. There are no legal updates at this time. Under procurement.
There are no legal updates because we have not heard any more from
Anybody?
anybody.
Yeah.
Everything is on hold.
Everything
Okay.
is on hold, and I don't want to keep being redundant if there's no updates, and there is no updates, and a lot of it has to do with the courts. Apparently, they are continuing cases and putting cases off. I think the last we saw, one of the cases was scheduled for June or July, but there has been no update from the last report. Procurement, many of the items are actually under new business. the pest control, healthcare, CARES Act. There is a update on the appraisal. We are in the process, we had mentioned 2 sites, Hyde Park and Vernon Place, that we want to get immediate appraisals on. We should have the agency procured by this end of this week, and then we'll go get the appraisals within 2 weeks. It shouldn't take that long, but I'm just kind of like putting it out there so make it so that I would err in favor of not making it sooner than you really can get it. So I'm thinking within 2 weeks we should have the agency on board as well as get the appraisals. The RFP for construction management, as you know, this whole process has been tremendously delayed because of the APCO approval process. The construction management company, we only had 1 response. I am meeting with Mr. Landecker next week because we have actually asked them several times. We went through the procedure as written in our policy. Said we just sent them a note saying, hey, we only got 1 response, and it was good response, and it was eligible, blah. Going through all of the details, and we're yet to get a response. It's no rush at this time because we haven't actually closed on our both of our RAD deals, but I do want to at least have this in place when we do close, which is good.
Let me ask you a question. Do we need their response?
According to your policy, you do.
This was a part of the OIG that we had when RAD was looked at in the past, but it also came with a warning to the HUD field office of their responsibility of communicating
Well,
with
that's
us.
how we got in trouble the first
But
time.
it also says that they're liable for communicating with us as well. So I think sometimes we just have to bring it back around to
Back around
the
to
understanding
right.
that we are equally responsible for
Yes.
communicating with each other.
Yes. And
And if we're making attempts and they're not responding, that falls on them, not us.
So why should that hold us up? Because they're not acting right.
it's not really holding us up. I mean, my thing is in good faith. I emailed Mr. Landecker and put this on our agenda to discuss. It's not holding us up because we really haven't closed on the deals yet.
Right.
But this has been in the making now for at least 4 months, if not
Right.
more. But it's not holding us up because we can't issue the notice to proceed because we really don't have a scope of work yet until
Right.
we actually close on both those deals, which is hopefully today on Sunset, and we have the approval for ITEC. But yeah, there's no rush right now to actually get a construction management company.
Mr.
Has
Chairman,
anybody talked to them?
I think there's enough documentation that says we've tried to foster a good relationship, even
Correct.
under the new administration with the field office. In January, they were a part of our retreat. We answered their questions.
Yep.
We received their recommendations. So I think that there's enough documentation that says we tried to foster a good relationship. So again, moving forward, if we document our attempts, we keep it moving.
Has anybody talked to the firm to let them know?
Diamond
Yeah,
Legacy.
Diamond Legacy.
Or do we need to set a date for that procurement process, that review process?
But my recommendation is set a date, but it's at the board's pleasure.
Thanks. Like I said, April has normally been the time. I don't know how, we reviewed the last one, I think the date was April 20th of last year. Again, this is just keeping us from getting into trouble.
Yeah.
As a board in reviewing. You can't expect what you don't inspect. So we need to inspect our policy. Dr. Jorman, like I said, it's only 2 weeks left in this month. And I guess, is the board willing to move it to the first week in May before the next board meeting? Oh, I forgot, we've got a graduate student that's graduating the first week of May. So,
Is that y'all's pleasure?
I'm just,
For a point of clarification, I believe the last couple of times you mentioned
April. May the 11th?
I mean, May the 11th, I'm
Thank you. I was
sorry.
gonna-
I'm sorry, looking
Okay.
sorry.
Which is on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Does that work?
That works for me.
Okay, I can make
Okay.
that happen.
What
And they'll
day?
be done this year
May
by
the 11th.
May the 11th, and it's a little intense.
It's a little intensive.
To look at and to make recommendations as to what changes we need to make in the local policy.
Okay,
And that's along with the CFR that comes down.
okay.
Okay. Thank
Not
you.
only that, let me put this on the table. Section 8 is not covered by HUD procurement, they're covered by state as the CFR reads. Are you gonna look at the state procurement as well?
Should,
Yeah,
should.
we did. It passed.
Letter, no, we haven't, we just sent the letter, we sent it certified. So we sent it certified to show that at least we know they got it.
Say move on.
Okay? All right, that concludes my portion of the board report.
All right. Commissioner Anderson, board committee report.
First of all, Mr. Kedrick, would you please stand? This has been the conclusion and the closing of the IT advertisement. We do have a new IT person on board. Mr. Kedrick Jones comes to us from about. So she is going to be getting her training and follow through from Dr. Jarman and getting to know the staff, working closely with Dr. Jarman to take on those responsibilities of the deputy director. So again, Ms. Lisa Dickerson is now the deputy director of MHA. We still have a couple of positions open, that being the manager of procurement and the HR director. So we'll be talking to Dr. Jarman. I think both are being managed, are being advertised, are they not, Dr. Jarman?
I'll check, I think we put them on the website a long time ago, but I don't know if we put it on hold. I'll have to double check.
Well, as we move forward, I guess as to make you whole in your staff, we may need to do a look-see to see if they are being advertised. And those were going to be advertised locally and not through Gans and Gans.
No, not the Gans again.
Yeah, they're still out there on the website.
Okay,
The
Okay.
manager of procurement is. HR has never been put out there.
yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Manager
I know the
of
manager of-
procurement has,
yeah.
not HR.
Well, those are considerations that in order to have the team, the dream team, to join these other great skilled individuals that have been courted and brought to the agency, we do need to look at those two positions. I know you're in desperate need of both, so we need to look at both of those coming on board. Brandy, is there anything else? That is the report of the HR committee.
Well, not much to say on the IT front. Still looking for our kiosks, okay,
Got that.
so that we can deal with the situation at hand. But, yeah, I do have some ideas, like having a lot of this paper go away, or where we could control that board from our laptops, if that's a Bluetooth-enabled device. To still talk about a document imaging system, because it is paper intensive, particularly with this RAD project. Having a document imaging system, everything is filed. You only print when you have to print, okay? You don't need to print, send electronically, email, or whatever to transmit those documents. But going forward, have some things on the table that, you know, like to see.
Okay.
But that's in the future.
Thank you.
Mr. Jackson,
As we spoke earlier on it, right now, The object now is to address all concerns and questions and that people have in the agency, the councils have in each of the towers. I'm making a process now to meet with each and every council member of each tower and take their concerns and questions and bring them back to us. And we discuss them, trying to move forward, get everybody trained as well. As far as, because everybody can't cook, you know, and that's some of their only hot meals they would get, you know. So, that being said, we also receive food boxes Tuesday they receive food boxes. And the boxes contain, you know, fruit, dairy products, vegetables, stuff like that. And we had some extras, which was good. A lot of people came down and got extras. But that's only like once a month. It's distributed once a month.
And
Well, we have did that. We did that.
who
And-
was it presented to?
Huh?
Who was it presented to?
Well, I mean, we as the council met up with the residents of the building.
Right.
And they gave us, gave us their recommendation. And the majority of everybody who came through, the one thing everybody wants to do is, everybody wants to take it on themselves to come down and cook, open the kitchen up. Now, there's only one thing I keep telling everybody, you have to be bonded and you have to be, you know,
Well, there are house rules involved.
yeah, it's a lot of house rules involved, because the easy way I can explain to them is this: you cook something,
And make somebody
and
sick.
I eat, and I get sick,
You love
they're not gonna go for it. They're not going for MHA or they're going for you know. And a lot of people still don't understand it, still don't get the picture, and I understand it. It's like, you know, and the one biggest complaint they have is about the machines, you know, the situation. So, like I said, we can go ahead and do it again, submit it again, you know, because my manager and I, we work good, close together. And she's, you know, she's understanding to whatever I submit to her, so.
But you may have to throw some recommendations out there to begin
Exactly.
to get the thoughts going in the right direction.
Mhm.
Is there some classes that they want to take? We were supposed to have an
Well, that too,
exercise,
yeah.
we were supposed to have an exercise center in here. Do
Well-
they want domino night? Do they want?
Well, we got that kind of
Yeah,
stuff
so,
going
I
on
mean,
now.
all those things.
Yeah, we got that kind of going on now. We got the movies.
Okay.
The movie night, which they just did, Tuesday evening. Once Tuesday evening, the movie was training day, so everybody went down.
But is it consistent? And
Yeah, it's
You got a
consistent.
calendar, you got a calendar event.
parents?
Yeah, it's a much my report. Like I said, I'm gonna be working closer with the rest of the councils. I got one quick question.
Following the documentation and the rules. I said you gotta have the president, vice president, and secretary to be, for us to recognize that
As
you're
a
a
council.
council, okay?
Okay.
Well, you're trying to cross our T's and dot I's, okay? We're trying to get you the things that you need, but you also need to do the things that you need to do.
What's your question? I'm sorry.
To my understanding, is all the sites have started activities back, or is it just certain sites, or is activities?
They
going
all
on?
supposed to have, they're supposed to all
So
have,
we,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
As long as
They
you
supposed
comply with
to,
COVID standards.
Yeah,
I just
as long
wanted
as
to
you,
clarify that, because.
Right.
as long as you can social distance.
Yeah. And this being, I understand because Paris has got the largest community room. They can pretty much do everything they want to do here. Because like our community room is like when we had movie night Tuesday night, we only could hold like 15 people as far as, social distance.
Right.
And I know some of the community rooms, all the community rooms are not the same size.
But let me
And
ask
I
you-
know for a fact,
Correct.
Sunset
correct,
is about,
correct,
Small.
yeah,
correct.
But then you make adjustments to what you can do and where you can do.
yeah.
With
You didn't know about the classes until talking to you and Commissioner Anthony. So, like they said, we do better when we know better. So I'm getting ready to enlighten everybody. We'll all come together and get to know what we need to do. I think that makes us stronger as far as everybody.
Can we discuss this Tuesday when we get together?
Yeah. Yeah. And just one another thing too, Tuesday, like I said, my first towers would be Paris Towers, but Sunset is gonna sit in too.
Could I, what time was that?
We haven't came with a time yet. I gotta talk to the president of the council of Paris, and we're gonna discuss that Monday.
What I would ask you to also create some forms.
Yeah.
Some forms that everybody uses to report on, documentation. If we need to assist, Lee, I don't mind, I've got some that I don't mind sending to your way for you to print, so you get uniformed in how you're doing things.
Appreciate it. We need
Just let me
anything.
know, yeah, let me know what you.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, when you gonna be.
Okay. And that's my report.
Finance, only other thing that we had talked about was Director Delaney was trying to reach out to HUD to identify the 4.5 mil that had been allocated. Any word on that yet?
4.75.
4.7. And that's not going away.
No.
No,
All right.
you have a partnership agreement and a
Say again?
you have an agreement that we signed.
That, okay.
In the
That's
case
what I-
of ITEC, and Bob can talk more about it, I think it was signed back in 2016.
That was
But,
my-
yeah,
all right.
but yeah, you
But that
actually
number
have,
could change, okay? Because the generic language that was used, all cap funds are gonna be used for RAD. And see, now that some semblance of financing has come in, reached up and grabbed that number out of the air, and this is what we're gonna use.
And we don't know
Don't
exactly
know
how that's
how
broken
that's
down.
gonna affect us going
But
forward,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
It could.
It could go up,
Oh,
it ain't gonna go down.
Yeah, I know that.
So, I mean, let's be real, be
Yeah.
realistic about this.
Yeah.
There's nothing definitive on paper except for the commitment that's been made
By
by
who?
prior administrations and been put into this financing package, okay?
That's,
We ain't got nothing right,
yeah.
but we got that commitment though.
Okay.
so we'll continue to, if nothing else, go back to the actual initial documents where the commitment was made.
Go up.
Yeah, it's gonna go up. I mean, everything is gonna.
No, hold on.
Oh.
Everything.
All
All
right.
right, Mr. Swanton, anybody from Gorman?
They on mute.
No, they're not on the
They're
call.
gonna be,
They're at the app.
okay, Mr. Hopkins, you're up.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon.
Commissioners, Dr. Jarman, Ms. Dickinson and Mr. Delaney, welcome aboard. This is Bob Anonymous with ITEX. We have made substantial progress in the financing end of the MH1, MH2, and homes at Granite Mountain. As you know, or reported last time, ATWA approved our application. We received inducement resolutions from them. We have received draft of M42 letters, which are basically commitment of their tax credit allocation for the 4%. Let me interrupt myself and remind whoever is managing the system. A few of our colleagues are stuck in the waiting room, and somebody needs to let them in, if you don't mind. Now, we have had our meetings with the lenders and investors. We have started the documentation process. As part of the documentation process, we have the construction loan that needs to be finalized, the permanent loan from the multi-development to Freddie Mac, and we have HP as the investor. We also have contemplated in the package, financing package, loans from MHA and CAAC. CAAC loans totaling $12 million, to be exact, $12,349,000. All of that will be coming from the sales proceeds, so it's not a new money investment. As a matter of fact, it pays down all the existing loans that three projects have, and whatever is left over is translated into a new loan into the new projects. We have also included $2.1 million of capital funds for the three projects, $1 million for MH1, $1 million for MH2, and $100,000 for Granite Mountain. That would be from MHA to CAC, and the CAC will make a loan to the project. In lieu of that capital funds, there is a lease payment to MHA for the amount of roughly $480,000 that MHA will receive back. So in effect, you put in $2.1 million of capital funds, you receive unrestricted funds of $480,000. Now this is based on anticipated increases in cost. If we are able to manage the cost, then the amount of the loan, capital funds loan will be less. These numbers are up to $1 million, $1 million, and $400,000 for respective projects. So ultimately, when we end up closing the deal, the number will be finalized at that point. The slight pushing that you have here, because during the last 6 months, especially last 3 months, construction material and labor has increased substantially.
Yeah, we know.
More than 30–40% range. So that's to be more cautious. That's why there is a contingency built. Now, other than that, we are planning to have our concept meeting with HUD. Probably we are going to request a meeting next week as soon as the business assessment is finalized. Right after that, we are going to have community meetings for all 3 projects to inform them again what the plan is and what the timing is. Ultimately, we have to close by the end of June because we have a drop dead deadline on July 9th where the existing loans mature. And hopefully we can get HUD approval by that time because that's the critical path at this point. And we'll know more about it when we have a concept call with HUD. I'm open for any questions that you might have.
I got 2. Mr. Bobkin,
Sir.
you talked about the capital fund. Could you send to us through Dr. Jarman the breakdown of the total financing, including where and which sites capital funds are being allocated?
Sure. Actually, you have 3 resolutions for MHA and 3 resolutions for CAC. MHA resolutions specify each resolution is for individual project. And it identifies the $1 million allocated for MH1, $1 million for MH2, and $100,000 for homes at Granite Mountain. So that's the allocation of the funds. More detail, we have also provided financing models for each of the 3 projects with the cost breakdown and the sources and uses breakdown. So you can see exactly how is the money spent. The idea was, well, as you know, the funds are fungible. We cannot allocate the federal funds to a specific line item, nor can we do that for the loan or equity. They are spent in whole and they're fungible in terms of line items in the budget. However, if you look at the models that we have provided, financial models, the numbers that we're approving today would be slightly higher than what is in the financial model. The reason it is higher is to provide some contingency because we do anticipate some increase in legal fees and some increase in construction costs. We have gone out to get bids for construction subcontractors. We anticipate receiving those bids back by the end of this month. And once we get it back, it will take us a week or two to tabulate them, select them, consult with housing authority staff, and make the final selections with the contractors. At that point, the cost will be finalized. But we do anticipate those costs to change from the previous bidding process that was done almost a year ago or so. So that's why there is some level of contingency built into the numbers that we will be approving today. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Anthony?
Couple of things, Botkins. I feel like I'm at a disadvantage because being the senior person at the table, if I don't have it in front of me and I'm not able to really look at it, it puts me at a great disadvantage. So that's my first complaint, is I don't have all of these numbers and their origination in front of me. Second of all, I mean, I'm just blown away by some of these numbers. Knowing that from a CAHC standpoint, we've not really taken any action to afford a lot of what you shared with me. That's my situation, number one. What is the cost of the overall project?
I can tell you usually, let me look at my models. For MH1, the total development cost is $23,804,469. For MH2, it is $15,677,20. And for Granite Mountain, it is beg your pardon. For
Granted, about,
For Granite Mountain, it's $9,523,700.
So about $84 million.
I just want you to know. I guess what I'm saying, I know we got resolutions before us today, but without having those figures, I'm gonna be a little bit reluctant on the resolutions. Could possibly be overruled by the board, but I'm gonna have a little tad bit of reluctance on my part, cause without having really had this in front of me, and then we're asking in the same breath for you to pass a resolution, my heart just kind of has a problem with that.
Well, not only that,
if I
Commissioner,
may-
Mr. Bobkin, not only that, and I want the public to understand this, that pass-through is what it is.
Is
That
MHA?
$84 million from MHA, that debt is gonna be sent over to CAC.
You got it.
Want the public to understand that.
And I'm just having a little bit of problem in saying yes, sir, to that right this minute, without us having an
Let me
opportunity.
put this on the table. With the debt, does that come to development fees as well?
With the developer fees, MHA will be receiving almost $1.8 million of developer fees.
But that doesn't come to CAC though.
Can't give me the debt without the development fees.
This is debt without development. The numbers I mentioned do not include development.
So Chairman, you said 80? I'm looking at 23, 15, and 9.
84, approximately, I said approximately 84 million.
83, yeah.
For all of it, all of it.
For,
Botkins, how soon can we get those numbers?
MH1, MH2, and Granite Mountain.
Actually, you have those numbers. It's the models that are provided there in the models. We'll be happy to send you again.
Yeah,
But the models
Yeah,
were
I'll send
shared.
it.
Actually, these numbers are less than what we had before. We have been talking with MHA for years now, and there have always been some funds that MHA was planning to put into the deal. The reason that some of the capital funds are increased, we are basically substituting lease payments to MHA of $480,000 and increasing the capital funds amount. So the loans that CAC is making to the projects, it's a zero-sum game. Basically, you receive the money on sale to the new partnership, and from that money you make the loan. So there is no new money involved as far as CAC is concerned. For the capital funds portion of it, 2.1 million total capital funds that you're putting in, you receive back unrestricted money of $480,000. So the difference is, like say 500,000 less than 2.1 is basically $1.6 million is the new money, capital funds that goes in.
Okay, but I keep hearing you say MHA and not CAHC.
Well, that's the past.
Yes, because MHA,
I hear,
MHA has a capital fund, CAC doesn't have capital funds.
right,
So
okay.
MHA has to make the loan to CAC, then CAC turns around and makes the loan to the project.
Right.
So that's the only new money that is involved.
Pass through.
The rest of the money that CAC is loaned to the project based on the resolutions that you have, there is no new money. That's the money that you will be receiving at the closing from the sales proceeds. So there's no new
Right.
money required.
Right.
So what you telling me, Mr. Chairman, when development fees come in, even though MHA, CAHC has signed off, once they come through MHA, and then we have to have a resolution for you to move them to CAHC.
That's why I call it pass through.
Actually, if I may, because CAHC would be the general partner, CAHC is the entity that will receive the developer fees. And then if the CAHC chooses to pass it on to MHA, that will be their prerogative.
Not with the debt. Not with the debt.
We
Not
got to have
with
some
the debt.
discussion.
Yeah,
That's too much, yeah. Scary.
We got some talking to do.
Well, if you look at your finance report, detail, and I'm not picking on nobody, okay? You see a list of notes receivable, notes receivable, notes receivable.
Oh, yeah.
All tied to CAC, okay? Them folks would go out of business today. Guess what? We wouldn't receive a dime to understanding that it's a financial risk.
Got
But the
that.
reality of it is we wouldn't receive a dime.
We got that.
So moving forward, we're gonna have to have some more serious discussion about
Discussion,
this.
yes.
That's just my take on it.
Yeah, we have to.
Yep.
So I'm a little bit leery about your resolutions today. But I can, couple of other questions for you. Did our people get our training?
I'm hoping that Paula Watts is on the call. She was stuck in the waiting room. Is she in? Is she on now? Paula, are you on the call?
I'm here,
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, the question is, have you started the training of the staff?
Yes, we have. This week we started the training that they can do from their site online, which is like their housing training, the gray field items. And then before the end of the month, we will also be bringing them into our Port Arthur corporate office to do hands-on training. So yes, we have started the training process.
Next question, on the contractors, have you began conversations with design group and our procurement organization to start that process?
The list that we have and we are using was prepared by design group. Steve, would you elaborate on the outreach for the our request for bids for the contractors, please?
Certainly. Good morning, board. How are you? We have taken the list that we received from you, as well as the updated list we received from you, and we entered that into our system. For those of you who are unaware, we use the high square foot solicitation system. It's basically a mass email solicitation software. So we get everyone's attention there. We're also in the process of running some ads in the local newspaper there. And we're going to be having a cricket conference 1 week from today, on the 22nd, via Zoom. And we'll be answering questions and having whatever updates we have at that point in time as well. So we've been contacting all of the people that previously bid and confirming their bids one way or the other. And we do, as Bob can said, expect to have final bids then in 2 weeks on the 29th. So that's pretty much where we're at. I know there's been some additional names added to the list. Anything you can get to us, we'll immediately respond and get that notification. So I don't know if you have any questions other than that. Are you happy to answer?
Yeah, Steve, I'm wondering when you're gonna get your list to us. The other part of that is that, you know, we have a successful, workable situation to go out and gather all those folks back to the table. And I'm not sure if you've been in on our earlier conversations where this board has made it a point that we want a local contracting effort on this project. So there has been a while, there's been a lapse, no conversation, no communications with our folk who are local. So we question you sending out ads in the newspaper and that kind of thing. I'm not sure what the delivery on that is going to be. So we're going to strongly recommend again that, as we have in the past, that you work with the system that we put in place with ITEX to make sure that we had local participation. And we put into place, and it has worked successfully. Botkin, we all agreed that it has worked successfully. So,
yeah, actually, the list we are using was originated by design group, updated and purified or improved by housing authority staff. This time around, we are using the same list with some additions provided to us by the housing authority staff. So we are using the list, I believe, that you're referring to. We have previously submitted to housing authority the list of all the contractors who participated in bidding last time around. Those are also included by default in the solicitation. And if there is any other list that you have in mind, please make sure that we have it. And finally, I'd like to reiterate that from our perspective, having local contractors is better than having contractors from Alaska. Simply because local contractors are there, they are available, and they will be cheaper because they don't have the transportation and communication and whatever it takes to operate from other states. So local contractors are welcome. We are very diligent in making sure that the Section 3 and the RFP selection criteria are met. And yes, there is no reason for us to focus on anything other than the rock, but at the end of the day, the bids that we receive, they need to be qualified bids, meaning that they need to have the lowest price and they need to be the most qualified contractors. In other words, somebody from Little Rock doesn't have any experience, I'm sure you want them to take on a responsibility that they cannot afford. But our attention will be focused on hiring locally because that's just good business in addition to the public policy and preference requirements.
I guess what I'm hearing is not really what I'm saying. I hear that you got lists, and I know that we haven't talked to folks in a long time. I'm just questioning the process of recontacting people and your outreach process for those individuals who we've talked to earlier, and if those individuals are having the second bite at the apple with the process, or even know that you're trying to contact them. So I'm just concerned. What has been your response from the list?
Well, Let me answer that, please. Again, we have solicited over 450 names. I can provide that list to you, Dr. Jarman, that's not a problem. But we're actually calling the people that previously bid individually and asking them to bid again or verify their numbers. We're also working with Jada Johnson and her group to get the word out via their various means, which I think is Facebook and other media within Little Rock. To again, reiterate to these people that would like them to bid again and invite, of course, new folks. And so we're hearing from both. And I can, once again, provide you that list, as I provided to Jada.
Mr. Nelson, have y'all worked with the design group who has been assigned a contract
To help.
on this project to handle that?
Yes, we have. And
Okay.
we've done that through Jada Johnson.
No.
We ain't asking about Jada.
No.
We're not asking.
We're asking you if you've worked with the design grade and coordinated with them.
Yes, sir. We're not asking about Jada.
Yes.
No.
Yes,
Chairman,
no.
Yes.
Chairman Myron Jackson with the design group. May I speak for a moment?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nelson, how are you doing this morning? Or I guess, yeah, still morning for us anyway. How you doing?
Jack us.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good deal. Historically, our team has worked directly with you guys, and then we would include Jada Johnson and whomever from MHA that the director assigned to assist. I think the chairman is trying to clearly articulate that our best practices necessitate that you speak with us directly, as we've done historically in the past. That typically was a standing weekly meeting on Wednesdays where we would discuss communication and outreach strategies. I believe the lead person in my office who would facilitate that was Brittany Owens and Romanitha Jones. That is the preferred approach that we would like to continue. I'm not aware of any social or digital or print ads that may have been produced, so I assume that you might be speaking directionally, but I would love to pick up that communication. We can develop an outreach strategy that we can present to Director Jarman and then to the board, and then upon approval, we can execute here locally. My biggest concern is, and certainly you can appreciate it, so much time has gone by. The overwhelming majority of these small subcontractors are not going to be able to honor their numbers. They're going to have to go back and rebid some of this activity. Two, most of these contractors don't have a sophisticated back office, so just pushing emails to them oftentimes will be a mute effort. So I appreciate the idea that you're calling, so kudos to you there. But I do think it necessitates that we may need to go back out into the market with the aggressive electronic media that we produced before, just to create some excitement here locally that we are now finally ready to go. For many of these contractors, that was a lifetime ago. They're not as sophisticated as you to be able to kind of wait it out and now ready to readdress the numbers. They've gone on to whatever contracts that allows them to feed their families. So I don't want to advocate here, Director Jarman and board, that we expense as much as we did before, because we do have a great list of over 450 contractors. I'll pat myself on the back there, but 450 contractors. But I do think it is a combination, Mr. Nelson, of a media outreach effort, and I am going to advocate for absolutely everything other than the print. Print is something we do because there's a legal mandate, but it never works. It's only for those who are in the loop and sophisticated enough to check, but most of these folks oftentimes aren't there, as well as historically that we're seeing in our market and across the country. Readership in traditional newspapers are down. No one's looking at that anymore. So we need to just huddle, and I want to make it clear, and you can appreciate it. I have a mandate from this board,
Yes, sir.
to not go through Jada to contact you. So I need you speaking to us directly, Ms. Romanitha Jones and Brittany Owens, and we will do our best to make sure that Jada is included in the communications since we are being held personally responsible for the outreach. And I wouldn't want us to be in this predicament again where we're relying on a third-party person to speak on behalf of what we're being paid to do. So do you have
that? I mean, I have personally talked with Brittany. I have given Brittany some information as early as this week. And we're coordinating the efforts that we're making with her in regards to the outreach that you're talking about. And I believe she mentioned Facebook. I know she's got some other media outreach that she's working on. So,
well, I'm excited.
I'm a little confused.
Well, wonderful, Steve. I'm excited because I too was confused because I didn't hear Brittany's name about 15 minutes ago. I only heard Jada. So I'm glad to hear that Brittany is included. I will immediately contact Brittany and to make sure that if there's any meeting notes from you guys' discussion, that she go ahead and push those over to Director Jarman. And we will continue to do what you said you've been doing, coordinating, but I just want to make sure that and I appreciate your confusion because I too was confused, but I will do everything in my power to make sure that that you're no longer confused. I will contact Brittany right now to ensure that all communications moving forward that I'm copied on so I can speak intelligently at the board meetings to the level of communications that we're having. And I will go ahead and make sure, and forgive me, Director Jarman, I am not aware of the comprehensive plan that Mr. Nelson is discussing with one of my team members, but I want to go on record saying that doesn't mean he hasn't had some communication with them. But if I was aware of that as of this week, I would have first said that was too late to be communicating. We should have had a plan here to present to the board this week. So I will make sure as early as possible that I get something to you to review that we can present to this board to speak in detail on what are those media strategies, what are the cost implications, and then most importantly, based on some historical faux pas, who's going to be responsible for covering the cost.
Yes, exactly.
Steve, Botkin, you know, we've been down this pipe before.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is usually where the dance steps get real difficult to keep up with. So we're just trying to make sure that we're dancing to the same music and that we're in step with one another, because this is where it gets complicated when we start talking about signing off on contracts, making sure that folks are getting an opportunity to work on the project, and because so far we've been dancing well together up to this point. So we just want to make sure that we get all our dips and transitions in place as we continue this dance to our point of closing. We are concerned that your message is getting out and that it is being received by the folk who need to know that that opportunity that they went for back in February a year ago is still good. So that's all we're trying to do, is just to make sure that we still have the interest of those folk who were a part of that big opportunity event that we had before.
Yeah, I want to also piggyback on
My
what.
final question, Dr. Jarman, is this: am I supposed to coordinate with Jada Johnson, or just have her
You
as
need to listen to the board.
CC to other documents? That's where I'm.
Your first step should be with the design version. That's
Yeah.
where your first step.
Well, let me just say, what Mr. Jackson is referring to is the faux pas that occurred before. And that was, a lot of activity was done without a clear plan of who to report and who pays. And MHA ended up shouldering all of the expenses for the effort.
Shouldn't have.
And we have approached Mr. Botkin and Mr. Swanton about possibly going back. And Mr. Botkin has said when the project closes, some of the costs will come back to MHA as a line item in the closing doc. But I'm not saying Jada or Brittany, I'm just saying the full plan about what we're doing, how we're doing, and who's responsible for paying for it is probably more key to me, having gone through the process where that was not an understanding. And there were a lot of conversations and activity that basically was not properly budgeted. I can just only say that. So I just
Well,
think
I'm
we need
just
to get
saying
this
that
plan.
There's a protocol in place,
Yeah.
okay?
That the board
There's a
established.
line of succession and communication that hadn't been followed, and that's why we ended up with the faux pas, okay? The misunderstanding, the miscommunication. What I'm saying, and what this board is saying, Mr. Nelson, you need to talk to the design group. Design group, since you're the contractor with us, you need to talk with us, meaning your staff. There has to be a protocol of communication to notwithstand the misunderstanding that we already have.
Yes, sir.
So we're telling, this board, telling ITEC, work with our contractor. There's a protocol in place. Use it.
And that's primarily on the outreach.
Absolutely.
It is primarily, again, on the outreach and the contacting of folk in this community. And it's just one of those things that in the past, we've had all manners of reasoning, I won't say excuses, but reasoning as to why that didn't happen. And we're just trying to stay out in front of it in this particular situation.
And as a vendor, I just want to make sure I go on record, Commissioners, Dr. Jarman, Mr. Nelson, Bakken, that we're not pointing any fingers. At the end of the day, we're all moving in the same direction.
MHA staff. We have also communicated with Brittany, who is employed by your team. Are you suggesting that besides Brittany, we need to talk with other people too?
No.
No, sir. Here, well, only thing that I want to make sure, and I think that, to be completely clear, Bakken, I think it might have just been a Floridian slip with Steve.
You're getting your direction from MHA.
Yes, sir.
Then MHA must be integral part of the communication.
And I agree completely, and I think that we're having a Rosetta Stone moment. I'm speaking one language, we're speaking another, but we're saying the same thing. We agree completely, but I want to make sure that you're clear. I figured out a long time ago the pecking order at MHA.
Thank you, Lord.
And those persons in this room have directed me on how we're going to communicate. So if you are concerned, I would also recommend that you correspondence copy Dr. Jarman. Dr. Jarman is all of our bosses, so if you feel comfortable there.
And I'm still here, and I understand, sorry about my phone call. You know, I've been communicating with Jada, and I know that Brittany's been part of that, and I know Dr. Jarman has been copied on our correspondence, so we will continue to do that. We'll just make Jada,
Brittany.
we'll make Brittany the point of contact.
And Steve, to Commissioner Anthony's point, and I want to make sure that I understand where I and my organization is in the pecking order. That's for outreach.
It's for outreach.
Outreach only.
Yeah.
Anything else outside of outreach, continue to
Flow through.
use the appropriate methods of communicating.
Yeah, and Steve, you know, we've talked about payment. There's been some agreements that we documented about the process of payment and who will share that cost.
Yes, as a matter of fact, approximately right after we have the concept call with her, we are going to have another community meeting probably a week after. We'll set the final date within a week.
Okay, so with everything being where it should be, what's the start date or the, okay. And on the list of financial obligations, I think we talked about, you were going to send us a breakout on the financial obligations.
MHA already has a copy of the financial models that shows sources and uses of funding and the breakdown of construction costs or development costs in general. Is that what you're referring to? You're referring to something?
Yeah, where each line item, where that 2.1 million came from, yes, sir. Breakdown of the total financing of this project.
Yeah, you have that already.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
I don't think we've seen that.
The board has not seen that, sir.
Okay, Michelle just sent me a text and she resent it just now.
Okay.
I'd like to point out that in the sources and uses, the numbers you see are slightly different than what you have in the resolution.
Last board meeting, we had some in-depth discussion around marketing and public relations priorities. In conversation with Dr. Jarman and then Deputy Director Cheryl Hampton, there were some priorities placed on which deliverables that we were going to roll out with. Since then, task orders have been generated to focus on the redevelopment of the MHA website. There's also obviously been some task orders produced centered around the live streaming of the mobile board meetings. There's also been some discussion since then with many of the directors as they start to work through developing their priorities that will dictate the development of some communications strategies. But right now, moving forward, the design group has been instructed to make a priority on the development of the website. And I know that between MHA as well as CHAC, there's some discussion around what some additional priorities will be. Once those have been nailed down and put in writing, we would then develop a subsequent proposal on what communication strategies will be needed to meet those goals, and then a budget for review. Meetings as of late, there are some programmatic priorities that many of our directors are going to be focusing on, i.e. Section 8 recipients, i.e. Landlord, infrastructure, and a number of other things. How do we address some of those priorities? That will necessitate a new communications plan, and we'll get that to you. But right now, again, forgive me for being redundant, but we are moving forward on the website and the website only at this point.
Mr. Jackson, as MHA now has an IT person, are we integrating him into the educational process of our system?
So we want to make sure that we educate them on the system, but the system that we have in the boardroom at MHA is extremely user-friendly. It's only going to take, I think, a couple of hours of training, and then if you deem it, and Dr. Jarman deems it, we will yell stick and hand the baton over to him and allow him to run with it.
Well, as you say often, we know you want to earn your money.
Absolutely.
We want him to earn his.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I don't mind this solo act becoming a solo. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns? Thank you much.
All right.
I don't see it. That's what I was looking around for. I don't see it.
All right, moving forward. Dr. John.
Yes, sir. We're going into the resolutions. First resolution is Resolution 67.
Why is there a signature on the evaluation form?
A signature on that. That was a blended. That was the summary of the evaluation. I can
who's
tell
gonna be
you.
accountable? My thing is always thinking, if it calls for a signature block,
Somebody needs to be on.
somebody needs to sign it.
I can sign it, Chairman, but the actual performance evaluation was at 3 sites. I can go back and get the signatures. We actually did go and get them rated from the 3 sites that they had performed work.
Yeah, but I'm talking about this is our form.
Yes, this is our form, but our form was a blend. What you're seeing is a summary, a blended form
Okay.
from the other 3 people, and I can sign off on it. Either I can just give you the 3 staff people at the different sites that performed the evaluations, but I can sign off on it if you want.
Yeah, I was
That way.
wondering why it was blank.
Well, Dr. Jarman, I think that would be great since the work or the evaluation was authorized by you to be done
Yes.
as a part of this process that you sign off on.
All right, I can definitely do that.
Sounds good.
So staff is recommending that we approve 6770 for the pest control with Delta Pest Control and Allstate Termite and Pest Control.
Make a motion.
Are we gonna take them all? Yeah.
We gonna take them all together?
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
we'll
come
come
on.
all together? Okay. Resolution 6771 is for approval of the insurance for the Housing Authority. This is our second time coming back. You asked for more information and more consistent information. I
What was
believe
the
we
problem?
presented it this time.
It was going up, yeah.
The chart wasn't as clear as it should be.
That wasn't clear.
And we did go back and make sure that the chart and the rates that's in your resolution match the rates that are in the chart. This is not the lowest rate, but it is the most competitive from the standpoint that there are two components of any health insurance. It's what the agency pays and what the employees pay. This is more favorable for less out-of-pocket expenses for the employees. We did do a evaluation of all of the proposals. This one is the best for both the agency and the employee.
Any questions?
No, sir.
The next resolution, Resolution 6772, is to, we have 6772, let me make sure,
Still on Jessica.
it's Jesse Powell. And this particular resolution is the same as you approved on Cumberland and Paris in terms of the conversion from the construction loan to the perm loan. So that is standard procedure to convert. So that resolution is authorizing the conversion from construction to
Got a
perm.
question.
Yes, sir.
Is there any possibility, avenue available for us to recoup some of that feedback?
From Jesse Powell?
Yeah, on power. That we were supposed to sign back in November.
Because of the extension?
And we didn't cause the extension.
Yeah, we didn't call.
We didn't cause the extension.
Yeah, we didn't call.
We didn't cause the extension. What was the amount of that fine?
I think it was about 40,000. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it was about 40,000.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. I would have to get the numbers in front of me, but there was a cost for the extension. And this was, no, it was not,
When I fault.
wasn't your fault, but yeah.
And I guess, Dr. Drummond, the board kind of expects some negotiation and some agreements put into place before we reach in our pocket and pay these funds, especially when we're not accountable for these situations, just like we're dealing with the whole issue of Mr. Jackson and the work that he's doing. And we get these verbal, oh yeah, we're gonna take care of that, we're gonna do that, at the end of the deal, we're gonna take care of it. We have got to get these down to where they're recorded somewhere, so that we are not missing an opportunity to reclaim some of these dollars, because they'll run the ticket up on us as long as we are willing to allow that to happen. So we'd like to see some negotiation, before these kinds of things, because we have the ability to hold up on sign-off until some of these things are resolved.
And
But I know we were at the table, ready to execute the documents, okay? Because this was said back in October at the annual meeting, and then we get to November, and now something totally different has come about. That's concern that I have, and the rest of.
And I will certainly look into the arrangements with Gorman in terms of the towers, and I believe that the fee for the extension was more of a Gorman factor than ITEC.
My suggestion would be Gorman, you pay it.
Resolution 5, 6, and 7 are all under ITEC, Medicine 1, Medicine 2, and Homes of Granite Mountain, and it's just to, as Bobby just explained, they are finally at the closing table. These are just authorizing the necessary parties to be able to execute the documents for all of those deals.
Resolution 73 74, 75?
Are all under IK
IK.
property, yes.
Dr. Drummond, I think I expressed that I've got some hesitation. I got some hesitation on closing on these resolutions based on not having a clear understanding of the finances behind them. And the other part of that, on any closing document, it requires the signature of the chairman of the boards moving forward. So I just have some, until
Looking at June, well, they had actually wanted to
the last of
to
June,
start the, yeah.
before July 9th.
Right, so I mean, I can provide you if you want to hold off. I would hope that you would go ahead and approve. And I can assure you that we have been involved with the transactions and looking over the numbers, and I fully accept that possibly some of these numbers have come across staff and we didn't forward them to you, but I would make sure that you get the full information. I thought that I had forwarded you the models for Madison 1, 2, and Homes of Granite Mountain like 2 months ago, maybe
So-
even 3.
Once MHA transfers this over to CHA, what's the next move? What, CHA has to do something?
We have to pass the resolution as well.
Right.
CHA would have to pass
CHA,
it
yeah.
to receive it.
Right.
So once we do this, it's still not a done deal
Until
CHA.
Until it comes to
Does
CHAC.
CHA expect to do this today, has to do it today?
Yeah, we
too?
have a
Yes.
meeting
That's
right
what I'm
after that.
asking. Yeah, so is that something that we're gonna have to talk about?
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
Yeah, it is, 'cause,
so,
I mean, I heard some stuff today that,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I wasn't
yeah.
privy to. And if the timeline gives us at least 2 days
To look at those
to
numbers.
look at those numbers.
Well.
Document. That's
That ain't gonna happen.
What, the 2 days?
Well, I mean, he
just
said
for
he was
us
gonna-
to-
he was
it's
gonna
already
send them
here.
today.
It's already here, right?
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr. Johnson says it's
They-
already
Okay, I'm
in.
just saying, I
They
need to.
sent
I
them?
mean, correct me if I'm wrong now,
What's that?
those figures.
You got them.
He said he just emailed them, so
Yeah.
I don't have my tablet with me, but
Okay.
he said he just emailed them.
So, what's your problem?
Who? My problem?
No, I'm just trying to ask for some clarity.
Yeah.
Well, like I
Because
said,
I heard Dr. Johnson say she had some figures that
She
would
does.
go along with this resolution, and then Steve said he just sent them. So, I mean,
No.
what's what?
Big, no. She said, Dr. Johnson said that she had received those numbers prior to
Right,
that.
right to this, right.
Now, and he had resent
Resent
them.
them.
Right.
That's what I was referring to.
but he said that the numbers would be different when
Yeah,
we
what's
got
that?
them because there was a buffer put in there because of, and that's why I said I need to
And
see.
you have some concerns
I do,
about those
I
numbers.
do.
Yeah, I'm just asking for clarity.
Yeah,
That's all.
I got some concerns. I want to see the documents before I pass in the resolution.
Can we vote?
Well,
Or we hold it?
The next
here.
resolution
Yeah.
should probably be second, it's the CARES Act allocation.
Say again?
The very last resolution is not related to
That
these,
financial
and
statement
so
that you said in-
I didn't want to package it.
Right.
oh, yeah.
So here's the thing, with those three, okay? 75, 74, 73.
Yeah.
If you don't approve them, that's gonna call it too late. I call a special meeting, vote them up and down. That's where we are with those.
Yes.
Yeah, I understood that, Mr. Chairman. I'm just saying, I'd rather for us to have to come back than for us to sign something blindsided.
I don't have no problem, I agree with that.
I mean,
But, Dr. Johnson, what's the full effect? What's the minimum that we have?
Yeah.
The window of minimum we have in these three resolutions?
I would say that you'd have to reconvene as early as Monday or Tuesday, just to make sure that we stay on track with our closing process. You'd have to reconvene and
And
hopefully,
then CAC would have to reconvene.
yes.
well, primarily when we're together, CACH is
Yeah,
together.
that would be,
So
yeah.
I mean, it's not
But
like
it's not a done deal
deal
until
until
CHAC,
signs off on it.
so I'll sign off anyway.
You prove it.
Right.
We should deal with it.
But I'm just saying, sir. I mean, it's me, And I'll own up to it, it's me, I'm not comfortable with that.
I'm scared.
So, I mean, if it means us coming back on Tuesday and having you
Yeah,
on Zoom.
I'm looking at
I'm
the
sorry.
attachment, it says that if you took action today, the deadline for them to get everything in would be May 1st. That's the deadline.
May 1st.
May 1st. So that's,
2 weeks. Yeah, you got some time.
Yeah.
So what's your pleasure?
I'm gonna put a motion on the floor to table those resolutions until we receive the financial documentation that supports this action for review by all the members of the board.
I would
Discussion.
recommend,
Discussion.
that, are you, Madison 1, 2, and Homes of Granite Mountain, I would recommend that we move forward with the Jesse Powell, conversion document.
73.
Yes. But if you want to, if you
I don't
want
have
to
any problem
table,
about the Jesse Powell.
Jesse Powell is right,
Because I didn't include the pest control either, or the
74
health.
and 75.
so we just, right.
Yeah, so I mean, those pertaining to the RAD deals at Madison Heights and Granite Mountain, and we hold those until we actually see the
We're talking
financial.
73, 74, and 75.
No, we're talking just 74 and 75.
Uh,
73 deals with
Jesse Powell.
Jesse Powell.
Jesse Powell.
72 is justified.
It's 73, 74, and 75. That's Madison
Right,
1,
doesn't matter
2,
one elected home.
and Homes of Granite Mountain. It's 3.
I'm gone.
Okay.
73, 74, 75.
We'll be tabled.
I need a second on the motion.
Last moment.
Restate the motion. It has been seconded. Restate it.
I ask that we table 73, 74, and 75 resolutions until the financials are received and reviewed by the members of the board.
I think it was second by
Yeah, seconded by.
Dr. Peterson.
So no time, date specific.
Well, yes.
That we hold a special meeting prior to the May 1st date.
Okay, I'll take that. Moving properly in second. That resolution 73, 74, 75 be tabled until.
Next meeting.
Before the May 1st date.
Before the May 1st special meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, none.
Okay, Dr. Drummond.
So do we want to go, do we want to discuss, we combined the pest control along with the health insurance, and we had said keep rolling. You want me to go ahead to the very last resolution?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the last resolution is Resolution 6776, authorizing the allocation of the CARES Act funds in the total amount of $166,941,000 to be broken down into the House About It to receive $140,000, Growth Achieved to receive $6,941.83, and Well Fed to receive $20,000.
Would you elaborate on what those,
Each one.
I
each
will.
one is going to do?
Yes, ma'am. The first proposal had a blended score of 98. They are, I do have their actual proposal here. They are going to serve all of MHA populations with a utilization rate of anywhere from 55 to 70%. They're going to offer it to everybody, but they're expecting a utilization rate of 55 to 70%. They are,
Serve them in
I'm
what
going to give you
capacity?
exactly, I do have their proposal right in front of me, and these are what you're going to get for your $140,000. They're going to target entire families working with the head of the household, and they will provide access to subsidies, benefit, support, and information systems such as access to the following: SNAP, TANF, Power to Care, Medicare Savings, Medicare Part D, utility assistance, rental assistance, senior health insurance information program, which is SHIP, and coordinate with local providers for services to support residents experiencing losses due to coronavirus, coordinate with local health service providers for supportive activities, including development of provisions of guidance for residents interested in seeking ongoing testing, provide resident communication plans, and provide continued operation of supportive services programs, especially for older adults and people with disabilities while closed and are teleworking. Part of the scoring, the evaluation was a 100-point scale that include demonstration of the firm understanding and qualification for completing the necessary work, qualification of key and experience of key personnel, strategic approach and timeline, the fee and cost proposal, and the MBE, WBE utilization plan. 4 areas, which is STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And they are going to have a 3 to 45-minute support meetings with the 30 students. It will be up to MHA to identify who the 30 students are that will receive this benefit. They also have a flight lab, and they also have what they are calling STEM kits they will give to the 30 students. They have Zoom operations, a certificate recognition. This is their cost breakdown. They have phone usage, electricity, logistics, and then they have COVID awareness extensions. And the last thing that was the most costly on their proposal was the invention kits that they would give to the 30 kids. That included the flight lab and what they are calling OptiBox kit. So the program, even though it was limited, it could only reach 30. We think that based on the criteria that we graded, they received a blended rate, again, of 96 out of 100. And then the last proposal would be well-fed. They too received a blended rate, 96 out of 100. The gentleman that's going to do well-fed, his emphasis is he would serve approximately 1,000 of our residents. He would be digital and online. He would deal with health and safety and an education component that is much needed in terms of educating our residents on the benefits of healthy food and healthy preparation of food and increase awareness and knowledge regarding food and health safety. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell as far as the actual responses. Again, blended rate was 96 out of 100, and I have the proposals here if you would like more additional information.
In all these proposals, Dr. Jarman, who is responsible from our staff to do the monitoring and evaluation and actual record keeping of these programs?
That would fall on the deputy director, Lisa Dickerson. The way it's administered, they get the award, they get notice of the award, they have 7 days to get back with us with their draw plan and their milestones. We then go back with each of these firms and work out, if that's okay. They don't get a lump sum payment. They only get it over time after they meet certain milestones. And there were 2 more proposals that weren't funded. Both of those were out of our reach in terms of the funds that we have available. As you know, we have not gotten our second allocation of CARES money. We had thought we would get some. We have some earmarked opportunities that HUD and the new Secretary of HUD has said we might get it. But rather than wait for might, I would recommend that we go ahead now and obligate these funds. I don't want to be put in a position where we didn't obligate them and they are recaptured.
One of the concerns that members of the board had is that we were just not doing what everybody else was doing, that we were doing something more unique and fitting for what people needed while we're going through this. So I guess that was also part of the grading.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And we did table this a couple months ago and with the outreach effort to other organizations. But in all fairness to the people who responded, we ended up coming back to just the 5 respondents and making recommendations based on this. We did talk to other people about possible MOUs in the future if we get the future allocation, but we decided to go back to just evaluating the ones that actually made a response in time and within the guidelines of the RFP that we put out. and these were the top responders. That within our budget. We had to back out money for kiosks, we had to back out money for the televising the board meetings. All of that's coming out of the CARES Act money, and we also had to back out money for PPEs for our sites all the way to the end of the year. And once we backed all that money out, this pot of money fit within what was remaining. Those are the resolutions. Do you have any other questions?
I move that we approve resolution 6770, 71, 72, and 76.
Second.
So moved and probably second that we adopt resolution 67, 70, 71, 72, and 76.
72 and 7.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None.
Okay.
Motion for executive session?
No motion.
No,
Any other items?
yes. So when are we gonna meet?
And right now,
No, when are we gonna meet to,
Around May. You know about the-
about the motion itself, we can meet on Tuesday.
that's a great, that's.
You like Tuesday, right?
Tuesday's good. That's
Afternoon.
I think you get
As
that
long as
right
it's
there.
Tuesday afternoon.
Tuesday is what
Tuesday
I was,
afternoon is
what I was
fine.
shooting for, great.
Yes, sir, because
At
I've
the
got
office.
Tuesday morning, so Tuesday afternoon is fine.
At the office.
Okay.
Yeah, at the
Yeah.
office. Yeah. So I know 1:30.
Okay.
1:30.
I'll email you what hasn't already been emailed. I'll make sure that you get it before
Yeah.
today is over. The financing that you asked for.
Any other items to come before the board?
Just one question. Dr. Drummer, we had several conversations around the kiosks and whether or not did we ever get to three different, we wanted to actually look at three, and now that we got an IT person that can actually look at what might be available to us with a reasonable amount of knowledge as to how it will be compatible with the equipment that we've got, rather than hold that up anymore, can we look at three, at minimum three different, because we hadn't offered that contract to anybody yet, right?
No, we did not.
Okay,
And
can
do-
we
and
look
we do
at, have
already-
three different
yeah.
entities that we look at before making that decision to make sure that we're not out of additional money in making it compatible with our
And
equipment?
that was Director Jones is one of the first things on his list to do was to get those kiosks and you want to see the three proposals, you want to see the three proposals?
That's the technology person, so.
Okay, we will do that. We'll arrange that for the next board meeting.
Any other items to come before the board?
No, sir.
Chairman, that is a moment to just a point of clarity on the earlier statement I made.
Yes, sir.
I just want to go on record publicly to just make sure that I think in my efforts to educate Mr. Nelson and Bachman, that I want to make sure in no shape, form, or fashion that I implied that Jalen Johnson was not taking care of business in terms of.
that was not the
The implication was the protocol that needs to be used.
And the outreach
Yeah.
itself.
I just want to be very candid. I certainly respect this body, this board. I certainly respect our director, Dr. John. I also understand that in me implying the pecking order, I certainly didn't want to imply that Jada is not going to be part of this team, and that she doesn't do a great job in terms of trying to engage our firm to ensure that communications are executed appropriately. I just wanted to clarify that probably Mr. Nelson may have made just.
Oh, that's what I think too, yeah.
The problem with Ricky and Jada, we just simply communicated Jada. But I want to make sure that we understand clearly that you're holding our firm responsible. And I don't want to have to get up here and say, well, Jada said it.
Yes.
Because that's unfair to Jada, it's unfair to this body, it's unfair to this organization. So I just want to make a point of clarity that we understand our responsibilities. We don't take it lightly. We're up for the challenge in terms of Commissioner Anderson speaking directly to our firm, and you guys holding us accountable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other items?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Conversation, we adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, none. We are adjourned.
How you, did you go to the other meeting? Did you come down here?
You got one down there. I went down there. I knew something strange when I pulled up. I ain't seen the car.
Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah.
Once a quarter.
Yeah. I ran into Vic yesterday.
Well, I'm not studying him.
Oh, you know?
He's been to Texas with
What he do? I'm gonna tell you.
cousins. We